Okay, so here we are resuming 2007. It's the June paper and it's the foundation tier, the completion paper 2, and we're going to resume question 13. So if you want to switch off the video, have a go at question 13 and we'll go through it in a few seconds. Okay, so question 13. We're asked to work out, this is a person, Ruth, buying a house, and she's borrowed the money to buy the house, and this method of borrowing is called a mortgage. The details are the repayments are £455 per month, so that means each month, and that's over 25 years. So how much will she pay for the house by this method? So best way to think of it is, in 1 year she's going to pay £455 multiplied by 12. Obviously 12 months each year, so that's over 1 year, that's a total of 5,460. But she has to do that exactly for 25 years, so we've got to multiply 5460 by 25, and that gives us a total repayment of £136,500 for an £80,000 house. Okay, so this is question 14. It's a credit card statement, and the first question's asked you to work out the balance, the new balance on this statement. So if you want to stop the video and have a go at that. Okay, so question 14, just to explain the way a credit card statement works here. That when you're using a credit card, effectively you're borrowing money from the credit card company to buy things during the month. Then every month, say towards the end of the month, usually they'll send you a statement which tells you how much money you owe them. That's what this line here is. This says balance from previous statement, £286.39. So that's the amount of money you owe the credit card company. Now, whenever you pay some of that off, it's recorded as a payment. There's a thank you. And this CR means it's a credit, means you've added money to the account. So according to this 286.39, you've paid exactly the amount of money that you owed. So effectively, those two sums cancel each other out. So what other items do we have on the credit card statement? We've got another credit. We've another plus payment here of £10.69. And then you've obviously bought some money at this store. So this is a minus amount, £44.39. Then somebody's bought some petrol here, service station, £25. So that's another borrowing. And then finally an insurance bill for £154.80. So we need to add up all the extra bits that we borrowed this month. So what have we borrowed? We've got these three payments here, £44.39, £25 and £154.80. If we add those up, we get £224.90. So that's those three payments there that effectively we used our credit card to buy those things during this period. Then, so that was £224.19. Then there was a payment paid in to the account. So this was we've got to take this £10.69 off what we owe here. So that's £213.50. So the balance at the end of this statement then is £213.50. Okay, the second part of this question is asking, each month the credit card company wants you to pay a minimum payment, and the rules they have for the minimum payment is it's either £5 or 2% of the balance, whichever is the greater. So how much is this minimum payment? So we need to find out what is 2% of this balance that we've just worked out. 2% of £213.50. So again, this is a calculator question. So 2% is 2 over 100 multiplied by 213.50, which is £4.27. So whichever is greater, we've got to either pay £5 or this amount here. The £5 is greater, so the answer is £5. Okay, so there's question 15. Have a go at it yourself. Okay, so for question 15, we're told that the total votes cast in this election, 54,585, and the ratio of the votes cast for each of the candidates is 11-4, and so they want to know how many votes did each candidate get. So effectively we're sharing this amount of votes in the ratio 11-4. And the method here every time is that we're going to add the two ratio numbers together. 11 plus 4 is 15. So we now have 15 shares. So we want to share this total amount of votes between the 15 shares. So we're going to divide 54585, which is the total number of votes, divide by 15, and that gives us 3639. So each one of these shares is worth 3639 votes. But we know that the first candidate got 11 shares because his ratio was 11. So we're going to multiply 11 times 3639, gives us 40,029. So the first candidate got 40,029 votes. The second candidate, his ratio was 4, so he gets 4 shares out of the 15. So that's 4 times 3639 is 14,556. So that's what each of the candidate gets, and we can check by adding those two numbers together, and we get back to our original total of 54585. Okay, question 16. Have a look at that and we'll go through it in a few seconds. Okay, so this is one of these income tax problems, and you need to remember there's a special method of working this out. So we're told that the total earnings is 19,685, and we're told the amount that this person earns free of tax is 4,895. So the first step is to take away the tax-free allowance from the amount that the person earned. So 19,685 take 4,895 leaves us with £14,790. So this person has to pay tax on this 14,790. That's his taxable income. So then it gives us some information on how much tax he's going to pay. So it says 10% tax on the first £2,090 of taxable income. So let's work out that first bit of tax. So 10%, remember, is 10 over 100 multiplied by 2090. So that's £209. Okay, that's his first, the first bit of tax, the 10% on the first 2090. Then we need to work out what's the next bit of tax. So we have to work out how much taxable income is left. So we started with 14,790. We've already worked out the tax on the 2090. So we've got to subtract 2090 from 14,790 and we get 12,700. So this is the amount 12,700 left that he has to pay tax on, and it tells us he's got to pay 22% tax on this income here. So again, 22% is 22 over 100 multiplied by 12,700, and that gives us 2,794. So now they asked, the question was, what amount of income tax should she have calculated altogether? So we need to add the two amounts of tax. So it was 209 on the first part and 2,794 on the second part, and that gives a total of £3,003. Okay, there's the last question, 17A and B. If you want to stop the video and have a go at those, we'll go through them in a few seconds. Okay, so for question 17A, it's asking us to make K the subject of the formula. And when you get a question like that, make some letter the subject of a formula. This means they want you to rearrange the formula so that this letter, in this case K, is on its own and it's on the left hand side of the formula. So our formula that we're given is M is equal to 5K plus P, and because the K term is on the right hand side of the equation, here on the right hand side of the equals, we're just going to rearrange that formula. We're going to write the 5K plus P on the left hand side, then the equals M. So now at least we've got the 5K term on the left hand side. So now the next step we need to do is move this plus P over to the other side of the equal sign. So remember, when we move something from one side of an equation to the other, we have to change the sign. So this plus P becomes minus P. So now we've got 5K equals M minus P. And then the last step is we've got 5 multiplied by K here, but we want K on its own. So we've got to do the opposite of multiply by 5, which is divide by 5. So we're going to divide this here by 5. So we end up with K is equal to M minus P, and then a fraction line underneath all of that and 5 underneath. So there's our answer, M minus P, all divided by 5. Question B then, illustrate the integer solutions. That just means the whole number solutions of the inequality n minus 2 is greater than minus 5. And you're asked to indicate these on the number line. First step is we need to rearrange this little inequality. So we've got n minus 2 is greater than minus 5. So we want to move this minus 2 over to the other side of the inequality sign. So remember, when we move something from one side to the other of either an equation or an inequality, the sign changes. So the minus 2 moves across to this side of the inequality. It becomes plus 2. So now we're left with n is greater than minus 5 plus 2. So that minus 5 plus 2 is minus 3. So now we know that n is greater than minus 3. So let's look at the number line and see what numbers could n be. So we know it has to be greater than minus 3. So there's minus 3. So any of these numbers that are greater than minus 3 could be possible numbers that n could be. So possible answers are n could be minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So you can either circle all those numbers there, or you can indicate this with a line. We put a little open circle there to indicate that n is not equal to minus 3, and then an arrow pointing to all these numbers that are greater than minus 3.